It began, like all good disasters do, with a single, terrible idea. A quiet town called Willowmere, tucked somewhere between nowhere and the edge of a swamp, decided to hold its very first Eco-Harmony Festival. The goal: celebrate balance between man and nature. The problem: nature wasn't interested in playing nice. To mark the event, the organizers planned a symbolic release: 200,000 frogs, raised in captivity, all freed at once, beneath the glow of lanterns and laughter. It was supposed to be magical, and for a brief, trembling moment, it was. As the clock struck 8, the cages opened. A low, rippling croak swept across the park, first charming, then deafening. The frogs poured out in waves, tumbling over each other like a living, glistening tide. Children clapped. Parents took selfies. The mayor made a speech about renewal and returning to nature. But as the sun dipped below the trees, the frogs didn't stop. They hopped through the park, over fences, across roads, into gardens. They weren't scattering, they were swarming. By midnight, every inch of Willowmere pulsed with movement. Lawns shimmered, streets squelched, the town itself began to hum. People tried to laugh it off at first. Just frogs, they said. They'll hop away by morning. But morning came and Willowmere didn't wake up. Not properly. A thick mist rolled through the valley at dawn, clinging low to the ground. The frogs were still there, but the people weren't. Doors hung open. Coffee steamed half-poured on counters. Cars sat running, headlights glowing through the fog. And the frogs, oh, the frogs were perfectly silent now, watching, waiting. Local news called it the Willowmere incident. Conspiracy channels renamed it the night the town croaked. No bodies were found. No signs of violence. Just 200,000 amphibious witnesses and a town that had vanished. Authorities cordoned off the area, of course, but no one stayed long. Radios would flicker with static. Cameras shorted out, and those who lingered swore they could hear something beneath the silence: a low, rhythmic sound, like breathing through water. One ranger, before resigning, left a note. Just 6 words. They're not frogs, they're rehearsing. In the weeks that followed, Willowmere became a ghost story with an addresser, forbidden place whispered about in truck stops and college dorms. The government blamed toxic marsh gases, a phrase that sounded scientific enough to end press conferences, but not nearly enough to explain why every digital recording of the town ended in static, why the frogs, now numbering far more than 200, seemed to multiply in impossible ways. Tourists tried to sneak in. Of course, humans can't resist a mystery wrapped in warning tape. Some live-streamed their adventures until the feed cut mid-laugh, leaving only the sound of dripping water and a faint, wet croak, looping endlessly. Local kids dared each other to bring back souvenirs. A street sign, a doorknob, one boy even claimed to have found a shoe still warm. They all joked about it, until they started dreaming the same dream. A dark pond, a circle of frogs, and something rising from the water with their own reflection in its eyes. Then came the recordings. Hikers near the quarantine zone caught strange, synchronized chirps echoing at midnight. Perfectly timed, as if the frogs were communicating in patterns. One sound engineer mapped the frequencies and discovered something chilling. The calls weren't random. They formed a sequence, a message, pulsing through the night like code. And here's where it gets absurd. One paranormal podcast played that frog code backward, slowed it down, and claimed it said, "Come home." Of course, no one believed that until a drone pilot disappeared after flying directly over the heart of the town. His last transmission, whispering the same words through heavy static. "They recalling us back." By now, Willowmere isn't on any map. The swamp has reclaimed the land, and official records describe it as an uninhabitable wetland region. But satellite images still show faint outlines of rooftops beneath the green, as though the town never really left, just sank beneath the surface. Still breathing, still waiting. Some say if you visit the edge of the old highway on a misty night, you can see ripples moving across the asphalt, like something underneath is trying to remember how to walk. And if you ever hear the frogs calling in perfect unison, don't answer. If you thought frogs were harmless, think again. Dive deeper into the mystery of Willowmere, where 200,000 frogs turned a town into a legend. Don't just watch the story. Listen to the silence. Subscribe now for more chilling real-life mysteries that blur the line between nature and nightmare.